Hello, Thomas. That was a little bit funky music to get us going there. Today, we're going to head off to the land down under where the women glow and the men plunder. We're going to hear the horses' hoofs thunder. How about that? I'm ready for my audition for the 80s band Men at Work.
It's better than Men at Work, I guess.
Yes. Well, we're going to be two men at work today.
Down under.
Actually, the guy who's the lead singer is kind of an interesting character. So I forget his. I think his name is Colin, but isn't every guy down there named Colin? No, I'm just kidding, of course.
Well, we're about
all but one.
Little over 8 hours away from these races, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And nobody can complain that these are small fields.
No, this is not Belmont for sure. And deep fields. The interesting thing is the amount of information. Boy, you really have to work hard to find information. I found some. I'll admit up front that I'm used to my my past performances here and how I go through numbers and stuff, and I don't have that same luxury in Australia. So I really focus on the basics. How does what's the current form look like? What's the horse done at the distance and the track? And then I kind of match each horse up against each other and decide which one I like more than the other. And that's how I made my 4 selections. And it didn't deviate from any of the races that we're going to do at Eagle Farm. So Eagle Farm, been around since I think like the 1863, if I remember correctly.
It's one of the older tracks.
And what I found interesting is
there's 2 tracks. There's one right next door too.
It's like Broodmore or something like that. It's called
Broodmore, yeah.
And then in reading about the track, one of the interesting things that I noted is that during World War II, when American soldiers would head off to Australia, they housed them in different stadiums across the country, and one of the stadiums that they housed them in was at this track.
Yeah. One of the staging areas.
Yes, indeed. So there's a little bit of American. Have you ever, just on a little bit of a tangent, have you ever watched Steven Spielberg's The Pacific?
Yes, I did see it.
Yeah, that's a kind of an amazing. What those gentlemen went through is just insane. Thankfully, well. Yeah.
I mean, my preference would be the one that Ken Burns did on the Pacific War. I thought that was really good.
Ken Burns, I'll have to look that up. Is that a movie or like a miniseries?
No, it's a documentary. He's very, the Civil War documentary is what set him up. But he's done on many on the national parks. On Ben Franklin was a curtain one. Some fascinating stuff.
So here is the map of, like we like to do, of Eagle Farm.
And it's not over the river and through the woods type of track.
No, it looks pretty normal, but it looks to me like they run backwards.
They run, clockwise.
No, they run backwards down there. That's it. We have to live up to the American stereotype. It's our way or no, and every other way is wrong.
Well, interesting though is in Australia, because they have a ton of number of tracks, but also they run both ways. Their tracks are run both ways. I mean, there are a few in England that go counterclockwise, but in Australia, you got a mixed bag, but the major ones seem to all run clockwise. All
right. Well, the first one that they're going to run that we're going to do is race number 3. This is the Brisbane Quality Cup. That's the first race we're doing, right? I hope it's the first race we're doing. All right. So we have a field of 11, and they're going to run. Looks to me, I don't know how far they're going to run, Thomas. How far are they going to run this one? 3,200 meters.
Yeah. So they're going to start at the top there and go around once and come back and run half the track again.
Ooh, they're going to be tired. So they're going to be, this is a 3-turn race then. So in a 3-turn race at Eagle Farm, what sort of running style, Tom, do you want your horses to have?
Oh, I want them to be either way back or about sitting in the mid pack is my preference on these.
So middle back.
The front runner would have to be setting a dawdling pace to be able to finish.
Like if we were up front running.
Yeah.
All right.
That would be a dawdling pace for sure.
So who do you think is gonna take race number 3?
Well, I took number 4. Sweet Thomas is my top choice. 65 starts, 7 wins, 14 placings. At this distance, it's got 7 starts, 2 wins, and 2 placings. Earlier this season, down there, it had no form at all. And they gave it a little time off and came back in May and really has run 2 very good races. In Group 3, race last out, it moved from 6th at the turn to run 2nd with track effect issues. And it did in its return race, it ran a good 4th in a listed race. I don't think we're going to get quite those odds that we've gotten in the last 2 races. One race was 50 to 1 and the other one was 30 to 1.
And right now it looks like it's about 9 to 2.
Yeah. We're not getting those odds. I took number 6 through Irish Eyes in my next choice. Has 12 starts, 2 wins, and 6 placings. Has never raced this distance, but is a winner at 2,800 meters. But that's at I would say, lower level. Comes into this race off a barrier trial that was at 2,800 meters, which I found very interesting. And it runs in the money 67% of the time. So adding a little distance, it'll be interesting to see how this horse does. And I also think we'll probably get decent odds. Number 2, Splendiferous, is my final choice. 19 starts, has 6 wins and 2 placings. No races at this distance. It's a last out winner in Group 3 at 2,400. And it beat a few of these horses in here. Raced little comment in the steward's comments was it raced wide, and it sat close to the lead, which was interesting because it really hadn't done that before. I mean, obviously, the distance is a question, but I don't think form is.
I don't think form is either, Tom, because it says right here the last win was 13 days. And as I mentioned, I'm looking for horses because the information is a little bit less thorough than what I'm accustomed to. So I went through all the horses and I settled on number 3, Irish Sequel, as my top choice right here. Irish Sequel has, we should note too that the track is listed as a good 4. So it's in pretty good shape then. Yeah. So it doesn't look like it's going to rain in the next 8 hours. So hopefully it'll stay that way. But in the career, this horse has run at this Eagle Farm track 2 times, as you can see over here. And all this information that we're putting on the screen is at racenet.com.au, which is some pretty useful information. But unfortunately, hasn't run as well on a good track, but does have a win and a third, or a placing, I guess, as they call it. I've learned the lingo. At Eagle Farm. So I like that. Number 2, I also like that. The next 3 horses, Tom, you and I are in complete agreement. Splendiferous, 19 times out, 6 times across the winner circle. That's a good number. Likes the good track out on 11 times, 4 wins, a second and a third. Does have a trip across the course, 2 of them, but one of them was a win. One was off the board. Has run at the class 8 times with 3 wins. So pretty... I like this horse as well. The next one is for me is number 4, Sweet Thomas. I think that's, how did you not have your horse in there, Tom? Did you have Sweet Thomas?
I had as my top choice.
Your top pick, of course. How did I miss that? The Thomas thing. This is another horse that's got a little bit of experience at the track with 2 races, a second and an off, a placing. On a good track out 29 times, hits the board in 12 of those 29. We'd like to see that a little bit better, but it's a horse that's definitely in good form. As you can see here, it went 9, 8, 4, 2, so it is definitely on the upswing. And then finally, Tom, same horse that you had, Through My Irish Eyes. This is a horse that has not taken a trip at the track, only been out 12 times in its career, though finished in the money in 8 of 12, 5 of 6 on a good surface. Most of those were placings, 3rd place. So that's the picks for me, the 3, the 2, the 4, and the 6. Hopefully those are the right picks, especially since you and I agree on 3.
That would be preferable.
Yes, especially since we agreement's not always something you and I have on these picks. So a little bit later on, a little bit quick, I'm going to pop to Terry's best bet of the day because he did Belmont Park, race number 4. I think they're about 15 minutes away from race number 2 at this point. So if you head on over to horseracingtoday.net, you will see Terry's best bet for the day. Number 2, Prisoner. Reggae Music Man will come home second, according to Terry, and Silly K will be the 3rd place pick. And while you're there, we do have we put a lot of work in to put together a fantastic wagering guide for the Belmont Stakes weekend for Friday and Saturday. Race number 3 on Friday is the first on the card. But if you also on horseracingtoday.net, you will find a link to a preview to the official Belmont Stakes guide. And it'll be for today, race number 10, the New York Stakes. So it's a good one, 1.25 miles on the inner turf. I like Rozier in this spot. Tom, what do you think of Rozier's chances?
Yeah, she ran really well last time out, and I would not be surprised if she repeats. Had excellent form in France, and now with Chad Brown, they paid a ton of money for this horse, over $3 million.
Mm-hmm. And along with the analysis and breakdown of the race and some suggested wagers, we also put together a nice little data set. So for those that like to look at things visually, we cover that as well. A little bit of a pace analysis done by our Chris Parmalu. My little love and joy there is the stock charts, where you can see the red dot being the average speed figure for the horse, and then the top of the line and the bottom of the line, their highs and lows. So again, that's relative to each other, not just according to a straight number. So again, you can get all that at horseracingtoday.net. Make sure you head on over there today, sign up, get your wagering guide if you plan on betting on the Belmont Stakes. Tom and I are going to be betting on the Gunsynd Classic for 3-year-olds in race number 4 tonight at Eagle Farm. This one, Thomas, is 1,600 meters. So 1,600 meters is going to start in this chute all the way back here, kind of come onto the course. It looks like it's a gradual onto the course. I don't suspect that chute really interferes with the horse at all. And then it comes all the way around, one turn into the finish line.
Compromises the inside a little bit, but it not heavily. I mean, I've never seen anything real problems, unlike like the Kentucky Derby, where you can clearly see the one kind of cuts in. It used to really cut in badly. Now it's still a little bit, but not as awful as it was before. And well, the last time I had a horse win from the one pole was Ferdinand. That was a few years ago.
Well, the one horse here looks to me like it's going to be Kiss Some. Is that right? No, that doesn't have the one post. The one post belongs to Holstein.
Holstein, yeah. Remember, the numbers have nothing to do with the draw.
Yeah, I was looking down here. I see the draw down here. Boom, number 1.
Yeah.
Do you think they should do that here, or do you think they should just keep it the way it is?
Well, they put the top in. Depends on what country you're in.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times the way it's done is the top rated horse that the handicapper has in the race is the number 1 horse. So basically, they're giving you a little guide on what is being handicapped as the top horse in the race.
And in this case,
the handicapper numbers. And so sometimes it's helpful, and sometimes it's pretty useless.
It's probably 50-50. You know what I would guess, Tom? I would guess it's about 30-70, just like favorites and everything else.
And remember, that's the penalty that's being put on that horse because it's been successful.
Good afternoon, Julie. How are you today? Good to see you again. Been a while.
Keep that in mind. This is it's a penalty that you put on, so they'll add weight or whatever to or make it go up in class. So, and again, the system that's in England with the class system is different than the one that's in Australia, which is completely different. And in Hong Kong, well, Hong Kong's Hong Kong.
So what do you like in Eagle Farm for this particular spot?
I'm going to take number 7. Ashgrove is my top choice. 7 starts, 1 win, and 4 placings. It's run this distance 2 times, and it's won in place in both races. Ran 2,100 meters a little over 2,100 meters last out in the Group 3. It raced wide. It was close to the lead. Then it went backwards, and I think the distance was too long for this horse. It only has a maiden win at this distance, and that was right next door at the other track. But I toss out the last race, and I think he's going to be right there at the end. I took and I think we're going to get some decent odds too.
Yeah, it looks like 13-1 right now on the 7.
And I'll definitely take that. 9, Fine Point is my next choice.
Looks like he's scratched, Thomas, unfortunately.
He's been scratched. Okay, I didn't miss that one.
Well, he wasn't scratched a little while ago because I have him as well. So now we're down to 3. You're down to 2. So who's your next?
I'm down to 2, and I took number 2, Flying Crazy, as my final choice because I don't have a choice. 7, I has 12 starts, 5 wins and 2 placings. He's got 1 start of the distance and didn't run in the money. And I tossed out the last because it was a bad start, and frankly, the horse never recovered from that race. So winner of the last 2 before that at 1,300 meters and at 1,400 meters in listed company. And this one is going to move from the back of the pack, and I think it'll be flying at the end, and certainly got to be considered for the money.
All right. So to answer your question, Jared, we are doing Eagle Farm, which is tonight. What's the first? You said about 8 hours from now they're going to start, right?
Yeah, so, about 7 something. I think is the first race. I think the first race that we're doing is scheduled Eastern time. I think is 8:40.
8:40. So Jared,
so first the 3 race that we started with.
Yeah. So that's race number 3. So we'll post up our picks on horseracingtoday.net as well. So you don't have to remember them, but
not the scratches.
Not the scratches. So this is race number 4 that we're on right now, and Flying Crazy's Tom's second pick because his second pick got scratched. And his first pick is the 9 horse, which is number 7. Excuse me, is Ashgrove because it's the 9 that had scratch. He's 13-1, so nice little price on Tom's pick for the 4th race. I'm going to start this race. I guess, Tom, if the handicapper ranks them 1 through 10, 10 being the worst, not the best. Well, guess where I'm starting?
The horse that's got the lowest handicapping number.
Number 10, Telephone Booth. Oh, what am I thinking? But, I mean, this horse has been out 9 times. He's won 4 of them, a second and a third. In those 9 races, won 100 and grand. It's been 6 days since his last win. As I mentioned, he wins 44% of the time. He's been at the track, got a second in the time at the track. He's been at the distance, got a third on a good track, 4 times out, 2 seconds in a win. So why not at 21-1? So I can take over 21-1 Tom moniker, and I can become 21-1 Rich. I should have been 80-1 Rich Strike, but again, foolishness will get you. Then apparently, this explains me to a T. I'm on one end, the worst end. That is the number 10 horse. And then I flip all the way up to the top horse, number 1. So I live on both ends. I'm hot and cold. Kiss Some horse has been at the track 1 time, also has a second there. 3 wins in 6 races on a good surface. And again, as I mentioned, I'm looking for horses that are in good form because you don't get a whole lot of information down there in Australia. And I think 3 consecutive seconds versus fields of 16, I think that would qualify for good form, Tom. What would you say?
Yes, I think that I would like to own a horse that does that well.
And then Kiss My Milo. I'm not quite sure how they pronounce it. Tom, I am taking over your role. I got the 70-1 shot right here with Kiss My Milo. I don't know what Milo means in Australian, but hopefully it's G-rated. This horse has been out 15 times, 4 wins. And again, looking for a horse that's kind of trending in the right direction. Third, sixth, first, third. So horse has been around the money. So at 71-1 and a horse that's been 4 winners in 15 races, as you like to say, Tom, why not?
Yeah, why not?
The next spot we're going to go off to, we're going to skip a race. We're going to go from race 4 to race number 6. This is the Q22. What is that? Is that like a brand down there or something? Any idea?
It's a Sky Racing Q22, so I don't exactly 100. I know what Sky Racing is. Mm-hmm. I have no clue what Q22 designation means.
Yeah, nor do I. This one's going to be 2,200 meters, if I can find the number correctly. Yeah, 2,200 meters. Again, to our Eagle track map, 2,200. Looks like they're going to start and then do 1 full circle, or is the finish line over here, Tom? Is it in the middle?
The finish line is over there. Yeah, where the little flag or the Eagle or whatever the heck Eagle Farms logo is.
So they head on into the turn then for the run out. Mm-hmm. All right, so it's going to be a little bit more than 1 time around the track. So 2 turns. Look like they're pretty wide sweeping turns to me, Tom. Would you say?
Yeah, this track is the circumference is 2,000 meters. A little over 2,000. The straights you see, so there's a lot of turning going on. It little bit like Belmont in terms of that sweeping turn, and I'm looking at the turf course, not the dirt track, because you can get
I think I read the dirt track is all weather, right?
Yeah, they do have one all weather there. Number 9, Maximal is my top choice. 12 starts, a win, and 6 placings.
Yeah, likes to hang
It's
late.
never run this distance. Shipped to Australia after finishing second in a listed race at Newmarket, and then 3, frankly, forgettable races in Australia. Ran 6th, 13th, and 11th. Was given some time off. It's run 2 barrier trials since then. It's got a first and a third going 1,200 meters.
Mm-hmm.
The last race in a Group 2 at this track, it ran second, coming from the middle of the pack. I think it's on the improve, and they changed equipment today. They're going to take the blinkers off. They're going to put winkers on, and hopefully the equipment change and a lot of other things will make this horse in the winner's circle.
Yeah, and it looks like that Richier is the first run at Eagle Farm, and his form improved greatly from 11th to 12th to 2nd of 10. So that's something that would catch my attention.
Well, and sometimes these horses need time to adjust, and
Mm-hmm.
this one looks like that was the case.
And sometimes they just take to some courses over others.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah, well, it ran well at Newmarket. Newmarket can be, and that was in the July meeting. So that's the July course they used there then. And that certainly is a challenging course. I took 2 Coding as my next choice. 39 starts, has 11 wins and 8 placings. It's never run this distance. Third last out in a Group 3 with issues. It got bumped at the start and recovered, sat mid-pack and moved up. Well, I thought it ran a good race for getting third after all those problems. Before it ran some not so great races. Ran 10th at Gold Coast in a Group 2. This is one I think you got the experience. It needs just a clean trip to finish in the money in this race.
Mm-hmm.
3, Hugh Tor is my final selection, and that's number 15 starts, has 6 wins and 2 placings. He has 2 starts at this distance, has won once.
Mm-hmm.
He raced in a Group 1 last time out at 2,100 meters at this track. He traveled 5th for most of the race, then he was shuffled back, and then was very game to come on for the win. And he beat a decent group of horses in that race. So a little bit interesting move, bringing him from a Group 1 into a Group 2.
And it looks like right now he's gone the handicapper who numbers them, put him in the wrong spot because he looks like he's the favorite right now. And it is my second pick as well. And maybe they're looking at that good track record where the horse has been on a good track 4 times and brought home the top prize in 3 of those efforts.
Well, he's been going up in class because he's been running very well, and he started at a lower level, and then his last race was a Group 1. So I mean, he's been obviously a horse that's been significantly improving, and that maturity again. That's a 5-year-old with only 15 starts. They're being patient.
Deep Closers League, like the G8, the G8 racing. I tell you, we're going to do Eagle Farms. This is Eagle Farms down in the land down under, where apparently the women glow and the men plunder. But we started that way. This is my audition for the singing role for the band Men at Work when they do their what is it when those old bands get together and they do like a tour, their farewell tour? I don't know if it's a farewell tour.
Well, they're constantly farewell tours. Some of them have more than one farewell tour.
Mm-hmm. It's like it's the 80s nostalgia tour.
And some of them are playing late at night, and it's way past their bedtimes.
Yes, indeed. They need their sundowning medicine. Well, number 11, Hopeful. So I didn't go all the way to the bottom this time, Thomas, but I tried to go all the way to the bottom. A few more races, I'm going to be at the bottom too. I did not know that's how they did it. It just goes to show you. But I'm hopeful. Hopeful can get it done. The horse has gotten it done in 15 races, 6 times. Found his way to the winner's circle. Last run was 2 weeks ago, and he happened to win that run. As you can see, another horse he's always in the mix. So you got to like the fact that he's got good form. Which I like. He has been at the distance 1 time, is one of his 6 career wins. So I'm hoping that he'll make it 2 wins in a row and then at the distance as well. My next spot, as I mentioned, is your number 3, Huifer. And then the chosen one, which this horse has won a ton of money. So because it's won so money, it's run against some really high quality horses. And I consider, it may not. It looks to me that this was kind of my one exception through the whole course of the day and doing the handicapping where horses were trending in the right direction. But he had been in good form, and then he threw a real stinker in at Royal Randwick and then came back and showed some improving form. So I'm hoping that form can continue to go well in his direction. I think if he were in form, Thomas, there's no chance in hell he'd be 12-1 morning line. None.
No, I would agree.
And then finally, I'm close.
He's run very well in the past, and it was just between different horses at this distance, and I decided to play one with a little more price, and then later.
And then I'm going to go with the Great House to close it out. The Great House, this horse has been on a good track 9 times, 2 wins, a second and a third. Been out 21 times, 5 wins, 3 wins, 4 seconds. So he's done fairly well. Been in the money 57% of the time. But again, just looking for a horse that looks like it's trending in the right direction. Horse is trending in the right direction of my chance. I think he's going to improve in this spot out. So that's why I put the Great House in there. And hopefully the Great House will come. Well, do they have superfectas in Australia?
Depends on your bookie.
It depends on the bookie. Okay.
Yeah, depends on who you use. But yeah,
speaking of bookies on this,
all kinds of stuff.
So which services do you know that folks will be able to if they want to play these?
There was
tracks?
actually Michael Rona had an article in one of the newsletters I get, and they had just about everybody was available. Naira, Twin Spires, TVG. TVG's actually got somebody on site covering it.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, you should not have any problem finding this racetrack. I think it's Australia A.
So when betting the board, no need to handicap the horses you've never seen before. Yeah, we like to do the international shows because we do like to see these horses before, because the funny thing is that these horses tend to show up at the Breeders' Cup. So really the whole premises and premise, 2 completely different things. The whole premise behind doing the Foreign Friday show was because A, there are a lot of big races outside the United States, but B, a lot of those horses that perform very well in Great Britain, in Australia, as we saw Japan, those horses sometimes find their ways over here for the big races. And a lot of times they are overlooked by the bettors here. You can get some great value. And by Tom and I doing these shows every Friday, it allows for us to kind of keep up with what's going on. And then when those horses find their way over here, we will have some background on those horses and have an understanding of where they may or may not fit in, who they've been running against, where they have run in perhaps when they all meet up at a place like Qatar or Saudi Arabia in those big money races. And you see how they perform against some of our top horses. We have that ability now to kind of figure out where they fit in. And just to give you an idea, tell you, we do great bit in racing. Next week, Tom, is one of the biggest weeks, not weekends. We do weekends, they do weeks. And that's going to be, where are we going to be spending the week next week?
We're going to be spending the week at Royal Ascot. We're not wearing our top hats and our morning coats, though.
I thought that was part of the deal.
Well, you never know. But we are going to be challenged by, I think 7 races per day, and some of the top horses in the world will be there, including some from Australia, and one that we've seen and lost on before here. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all with the Australians. With, of course, Wesley Ward's got his troop in there, so it's interesting. That's it. You're right about the June racing, but these are horses that that will be if they're aiming for the Breeders' Cup, they are patiently setting these horses up. And of course, remember, it's winter in Australia, so we're seeing the end. Really, their season is going to be beginning to end as ours starts, and this is what's happening in there. But also keep in mind one of the things I have gained. And being able to play the Breeders' Cup races much better with the foreign horses is now I know where to get a lot of this information. Before, let's face it, you look at the daily racing form or some of these, or Equibase or whatever, there's not a lot of information about how the running of these horses in those races.
Mhm.
And so this has given me an opportunity to go out and look and try to get some running lines, comments, more insight, or even be able to watch replays of some of these horses run.
Mhm.
And I will say it has helped me a lot in winning Breeders' Cup races.
I realize it's June and November is a while away. The one thing I would say to that, though, is the great horses are like great fighters. They don't go out a lot, right? Because you want to make sure that you place them correctly and they don't get injured, right? Because an injured horse can't run for you. So you're not going to see these horses run every month, every 2 weeks. The better ones, they're going to run in specific races that they target because they're going to collect those checks because they know the horses can qualify. So maybe some of these Royal Ascot horses will run in June. Maybe you might see them again in August, and then you might see them again in November or somewhere in there. So you're not going to get to see them a whole bunch of times before they end up over here. So maybe one runs in June and then runs in a tune-up race somewhere between here and the Breeders' Cup and then shows up over here and no one has no idea who he is, Order of Australia.
Yep. Or, I mean, reverse that. Golden Pal is going over to Royal Ascot to run in the King Stand. But that field is stacked. And does that race have some effect on the Breeders' Cup Sprint on turf? Well, it has in the past.
And also, the great thing about the international racing is that, unlike ours, which is speed, what is it, 6 out of 10 American horse races, the winner comes out of the first 3 at the quarter pole. So if you can predict who's going to be first, it's not like that in some of these foreign races. It is almost exactly the opposite. But all right, so let's move on to the J.J. Atkins plate, which is our favorite type of racing, Thomas. 1,600 meters for a bunch of bratty 2-year-olds. This is like a daycare race, Thomas, is what this really is. So 1,600 meters, they're going to start in that back chute again, and then over to here, running backwards. Literally, the horses, they run the horses ass first, not face first. Now that would make some horse racing handicapping, but in any case.
Yeah, that would be very interesting, to say the least.
Indeed, for sure. So take us through your picks for the J.J. Atkins plate, daycare of 2-year-olds.
Yeah, well, as always, I like to say with 2-year-old races, anything can happen. But I did land on what I think is going to be the favorite, which is She's a Belter. Has 6 starts, 3 wins, and 2 placings.
That's number 16, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because you mentioned that they rank them, usually the handicap, are 1 through 16. And I mean, 1 being the best. And we're all the way down at number 16, which is where I am going to start too.
Yeah, this one's been dynamite. One last out at Group 2 at 1,400. They held it towards the back of the field and then made one move. And I watched the replay, and it was impressive.
Well, here's how the commenter here describes it. The impressive filly and her turn of foot was electric. Yeah. Always a nice comment.
And the thing is, if you look at her running lines, it's interesting. When they hold her back, she wins. When they send her closer to the lead, she doesn't win. So hopefully clear sailing and back of the field, and she'll be right there at the end.
And she looks like she likes the good track too. 4 times 3 wins, a second and a third. I get out of here.
And so I went with number 2, Twin Starts, as my next choice. There's 4 starts, 2 wins, and a placing. And no races at this distance. I tossed the last one out. It didn't get a good start. It sat in the rear of the field. It moved up to 6th. So what are they going to do today? They're going to add blinkers. Good idea, especially with a 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. Prior to this race, been much better. Been staying in the back and running in the money, or just off the leaders to win. So it's been able to be a little versatile. And for a 2-year-old, that's very unusual, and it only has 4 starts. It is a Group 3 winner, and to me, it just needs to get out of the gate. An alert start, and it'll be right there. Mm-hmm. Number 4, Political Debate, is my final choice. It has 3 starts, a win, and 2 placings. Again, another one has not run this distance yet. It was a last out winner in a listed race at Eagle Farm, going 1,500 meters. Race mid-pack, sitting around 6th at the turn, and then it went up and got there in time. This was the first run after running 3rd in a Group 2 and 2nd in a maiden race. So they must have thought something of this horse to put it in a maiden into these group races. They are adding winkers today, so they must have seen something that they want to improve on this horse. And frankly, with that record and a maiden that had won a Group 3 in that 3rd start, that's not so bad.
Mm-mm. So as I mentioned, I'm starting the same place you are with Shiza Belter. As we talked about all the reasons why. I like the good track record. I like the fact that it ran at Eagle Farms one time, brought home the win. And when you read a comment like the turn of foot was electric, so that means when you see that horse decide to turn it on, it's going to turn it on. My next choice is number 18, which looks like Amante has scratched, so forget that one. I also agree with you, but as I destroy my desk, I'm going to go with my next pick is going to be number 9. Did that one scratch too? It did not scratch. Okay. No. Owen County, $11 horse right now, it looks like. This horse has been out 3 times, a couple of wins and a placing. Horse has run at the class twice with a win and a 2nd. It's not much you can say to the horse other than it's been off to a great start. And in those 3 wins, it won $118,000 in those 3 races, which that means the horse has been running in some expensive races to collect that sort of check because they don't get the same prize money over there that they do here. So that's a fairly large amount of money for 3 races. And then I do have number 4, Political Debate, as my 3rd choice now, thanks to the scratches. And we've gone over all the reasons why we like Political Debate. And then the last race of the evening is race number 8. It is the Stradbroke Handicap, 1,400 meters. Again, we look at our chart, starting a little bit up here. This one doesn't look to me like, this one really looks like there's really not going to be a disadvantage based upon the chute because it's a long, straight run into that first turn there. Come around that big sweeping turn. Bring it home to the couple of horses, to the logo there, Thomas. This race has a lot of good horses in it. And I feel like it's going to be a great betting race. What's your thinking?
Big fields and really some top-notch horses. This is considered one of their show place races of the year at this track.
Mm-hmm.
So we certainly got the field for that. I want to make one correction. I said that Eagle Farms was Australia A. It's actually Australia B.
Tonight?
Yeah, tonight. A is Ranwick, C is Newcastle, and Gold Coast is D. So on your wagering, it'll be B, Australia B.
This will be Australia B. Okay. So, and I will put up on the horseracingtoday.net, I will link to a couple of free, as you mentioned, Tom, there are one of the things that doing these foreign Friday shows force us to do is to go find information on the internet. So the information that we have found, I will provide to you so you don't have to spend 2 hours looking for it on the recap on horseracingtoday.net once we hang up.
You bet.
All right. So who do you like?
I have one of the favorites as my top choice. Number 11, Ayrton. Ayrton is my top choice. 9 starts, 6 wins, and 2 placings. Got 5 starts at this distance. It's got 3 wins and 2 placings. Mm. It's using barrier trial as its prep race for this race. It ran second at 1,000 meters. Went 59 and 2.25. That's quick. And I think it needed that barrier trial because it ran its worst race the last time out. Got in trouble. It ran second part of the race, and then it was a mess. This was a Group 2 race. It was 1,800 meters, and I think that was maybe a little too far for this horse. Mm-hmm. Much more suited for 14. Is a Group 3 winner at this level. And when he's been laying close to the lead, I suspect that's what's going to happen. And he's stepping up in company, but if he runs to his barrier trial and toss out that other race, he's going to be right there. Mm-hmm. Number 6, Sock Gun is my next choice. 29 starts, 10 wins, 8 placings. At this distance, it's got 13 starts, 4 wins, and 5 placings. After a break, they put it into a barrier trial, and he won 2 in a row after that barrier trial. So he's done very well for himself. The race back was a listed. He won by 3. And the next race was a Group 3, and he just got up there in time to win. So obviously been improving with a little break. He's done well at this distance, and he's in form. There's no question about that. But again, this is a tough bunch.
Yeah, this is a tough bunch because so far we don't agree on anything. Let's see if we agree on the third one.
Number 9. Yes, no. Rothfire, 14 starts, has 7 wins and 1 placing. At this distance, it has 2 starts and 1 win. Last out, it ran an even 4th in a Group 1 at this track. He ran the entire race was at running 4th, and he did the same thing in a Group 1 the race before, and that was a break. I just think his horses needed a couple races to get ready, and based on his past record, he's done okay at the 3rd time out. And you're going to get some odds on this, but you are going to get some. This is a tough bunch. So good luck.
Well, I mentioned we didn't agree on anything until your last pick there, Tom. Okay. And I'm going to go with Rothfire as my top pick right now at 14-1. You mentioned that he's run 4th last time out at Eagle Farm, but he's run at Eagle Farm 8 times, and he's won 5 of them. So clearly a horse that likes the course. Run 14 races, won 7 of them, and so far has pocketed $1 million. Now, it's been a while since he's won, but I'm hoping that the familiar surroundings might take this horse into the winner's circle at 14-1. I think this is my favorite name of any horse that I've bet on in a while. Number 5, Alligator Blood. I mean, you got to be a tough-ass horse just to get the name Alligator Blood. This guy's been out 19 times, won 9 of them, collecting almost $2 million. Wins on average $100,000 per race. Tom, how would you like to have a horse in your barn that wins $100,000 a race?
I would not be complaining.
This guy likes the track as well. He's been out at Eagle Farm 4 times with a couple of wins and a second. At the track, he's run the distance twice with 1 win. Overall at the distance, 6 times out with 4 wins. My man loves to win, and that's why you see $100,000 per earning. And number 3 is my third choice, Apache Chase. As you can see, the odds in this race are just perfect. This guy's been out at the track 13 times, won 8 of them. Now, the horse before this, the Alligator Blood, won $100,000 a race. And this guy's chump change, only winning $93,000 a race.
That me or you?
That could be me. It's you.
No, it was me. I spun. I was playing.
You're what is it? You're jittering. The horse has run at this track and distance 7 times, Tom. 7 times at Eagle Farm at the distance. You know how many wins he has? 6. 6 out of 7, a winner at the track and distance. You gotta love that. And then finally, of course, I gotta go with one of the horses that the handicapper did not like. I'm gonna come all the way down here to number 17, Villana. This horse is probably the most inexperienced horse in the field. Only 6 races. This guy's won 4 of them. Clearly in good form. They pay $200,000 for this horse, so it is an expensive horse. Been at the track once, won that race, and that was at today's distance. He's been at the distance 3 times, won both of them. So this is a 20-1, and it's a youngster. It's only 3 years old versus a lot of older horses. But it looks to me like this might be a very good horse. And if it is a very good horse, running against the older ones at 20-1 odds, you're not going to if he wins this race, you might never see 20-1 odds on that horse again. And as you can see, just kind of running down the side here, Tom, for this race, 34-1, 8-1, 60, and these are live odds, 67, 51, 9, 23. So it looks to me like right now, the favorite is at 4-1. Did we see a 4-1 or is it 8-1? Right? There's a 9-1.
Yeah, I think there was 8-1. I'd have to go back and look again.
Yeah, the 8-1, and it looks like it's the Oh, I didn't go all the way up. Hold on. 6-1 for 11-11. One horse that neither one of us have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the favorite. That's 6-1.
11-11's pretty well touted.
So when you have basically a 20-horse field and 6-1 is the top choice, that means if you can put together a exacta or trifecta, you know what's going to happen, Thomas?
You better get some money.
You're going to get paid, but it's going to be Australian dollars. So you'll win 1,300 Australian dollars, and it'll turn into like 18 cents over here. My Hong Kong experience.
Our pools are separate, so the prices do vary. I have looked at Australia, and it was a big price there, and I got 20-1. I got 8-1 here. So, I'm still not complaining, but I'd like
question for you then: if our pools are different and the live feeds show different odds, have you found that you should make, so say maybe you're getting 20-1 here, and the punters in Australia have that horse at 8-1. Do you feel like the folks that are on the ground there have a better understanding of that horse's value than perhaps the American better?
Yeah, I do. I believe that. I also think that it gives me an opportunity to take a look at that race again, see what they're seeing that I missed. Well, so I'll take a quick gander at that race and see if there's anything. If I go through them the first time around and try and pull out the horses I think that have a chance, and I usually end up in, like this race, I ended up with 8 horses. It was hard not to. I think even getting to 8 was a struggle for me.
I had 7.
Yeah. So and it was just sitting there looking at this, going, okay, there's a bunch of good horses. I mean, even the ones I threw out were halfway decent, and it's just that kind of race.
Well, I was thinking of it more from like an arbitrage point of view. So, if the folks in Australia who perhaps understand and follow Australian racing more closely than we do here, since it's a pool for primarily American bettors, if the folks in Australia have a horse that's 7-1 and we have it at 10-1, I would call that an overlay, right? So perhaps maybe those horses that are lower odds in Australia than there are here could make for some good betting opportunities where you're getting better odds, and maybe the other way around. If the horse is here 3-1, but it's 10-1 over there, well, clearly the folks over there don't like it. Maybe those are horses you should avoid. That's kind of the way I was looking at it.
Yeah, I would say that you can make the case for that in betting some of the races in Great Britain or in France. You'll find that every once in a while. On the other hand, you kind of get aggravated with yourself when there's 200-1 there the bookies are offering, and the odds here are 91.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it's because
but that's what are you gonna do? I mean, that's the way it works, and our system is different than theirs, and we do have a little glimmering of fixed odds starting around here, but not a lot.
Yeah, the fixed odds.
I don't know how it's going to be received.
Yeah, I'm not
like the exchange betting. That was never. They tried in New Jersey, and that didn't
work. Yeah, I just feel like I like the pari-mutuel betting, because everybody puts their money into the pool, and then he who makes the better decisions, or she who makes the better decisions, ends up being. It gives you an edge, I feel like, because if the bookie is setting the line, then you're going up against the house, and let's just be honest, the house has more money to invest in more resources. They can get the best software. They can get the best handicappers. They can get the best everything. And it's more difficult to beat the house than it is to beat a lot of your fellow handicappers. All right, Thomas, next week we'll be back on Monday. Not quite sure what time we'll be back on Monday to start the Royal Ascot for the entirety of the week. Monday through Friday, we will have Foreign Week, not Foreign Fridays, covering all the Ascot races that are important. Of course, Terry and I will continue to do our show in the morning. I think there'll be a guest host in my place, because I don't want to be on YouTube all day long, with Sean for the Horse Center show. Of course, tomorrow is the Belmont Stakes. Make sure, again, that you head on over to horseracingtoday.net. Pick up the copy of the wagering guide. You'll see a big banner at the top of the website. Click on that, or you can head on over to Guaranteed Tip Sheet and get that. Hopefully, everybody has a fantastic week at the weekend at the track. Any final thoughts, Tom, before we get out of here and start prepping for Ascot week?
Well, enjoy this evening, these races, because even the ones we did not cover, they good size fields, and it doesn't look as chalky as in those couple of those races as some of the things I read. So you may find some value.
Might be better betting races than what you see at Belmont this weekend for sure. And again, we will have the recap over at horseracingtoday.net with links to the available free resources. For those of you betting on Twin Spires, TVG, whatever your at NYRA, the track tonight will be Australia B, like as in boy. All right, Thomas, whether you're betting in Australia tonight, Belmont this afternoon, or all day tomorrow in that New York track, we hope everything that you do, your day, your weekend, and of course, all of your picks, that they end up in the
winner's circle.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Enjoy the Belmont. Enjoy the Eagle Farm races.